Welcome back to the Fixture with Crew channel. Chris here. If you're new, hit that like and subscribe button. We got some news and we got something new. Let's go. So just a quick story. In my early 20s, I used to go to a hot rod show / rat rod show in Brooklyn, New York. I live in Massachusetts, so I would travel to this. And it has been the stamp in my life as the best car show I've ever been to. And this show gets put on by a car club called the Rumblers. If you don't know them, check them out. The stuff they do is fantastic. And that's kind of where my love for rat rods stemmed from in my early 20s. Now I'm in my mid 30s. And it's where something that I fell in love with, I started a long time ago, never ended up going through and happening. Now I had the opportunity, and you'll see it shortly. I showed Grace some old school videos of it, some older stuff on YouTube, and some videos and pictures and stuff that I had when I was younger, old files. And she's like, we gotta go. We gotta go. We're going. So, it's Saturday right now. I think it's the 17th. The following Saturday, which is the 24th, the Rumblers, they're having their car show at 10 a.m. under the BQE in Brooklyn, New York. My uncles, they live in New York City, in the Bronx. So, with that being said, Grace and I are actually going to drive this thing to New York City from Massachusetts. Normally, it's like a 2.5 hour drive. Going 55, 60, it's probably going to take us like 3.5 hours maybe. But we're going to do it, because why? Like I said before, that's hot rodding. That's what you do. You drive your car to the show, and then you drive it home. Primarily, when I do the oil changes in this and I do maintenance on it, I run regular conventional oil. But nowadays, as most guys know, they're taking all the good stuff out of the old school oil. So I bought this Valvoline stuff. It's the first time I'm running it. I always do like a zinc additive, but this has high zinc in the oil. But I've read mixed reviews about this because a lot of people say, yeah, it's great. It's racing oil. It's high in zinc. It's good for flat tap cams. It's good for old school motors and stuff like that. But they put detergent in the oil, which cleans the inside of your motor, helps with emissions, it helps with all that jazz. And they say, contradictingly, that the detergent counteracts the high zinc content. Don't know if it's true, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to give this a shot. The first time I changed the oil in this, when I first got it last year, I just put regular oil in it. Didn't even think of it. And then the second oil change, I'm like, oh crap, I put the zinc additive in it. So this would be oil change number 3. Yes, I'm definitely changing it way more than the 3,000 miles, but I like to tinker with things and I like to stay on top of things. So we're going to go for probably a 350 mile round trip to New York City and back here. So I figure now's the time to do it. I got fresh oil, fresh filter. We'll get this changed and we're going to show you something that I just scooped up. As many of you seen, if you do follow my channel and watch my stuff, this is a 327 small block Chevy. The bottom end is a 69 block and the top end is a 63 power pack heads. So it's roughly a 250 horsepower motor. She is on the tired side. So that is going to be one of 2 things that I'm going to show you. When I talk about the Rumblers, what I meant was this is something that I fell in love with. I am a die-hard Chevrolet guy, 110%. But to me, the traditional hot rod / traditional rat rod, they're Fords, all right? They're a Ford body that you throw a Chevrolet drivetrain in for me, or you throw a Ford flathead in it, V8 in it, you do a straight 6, you do whatever you want with whatever you have to make it work and to take it for a cruise, right? That's my interpretation of rat rod. With that being said, I'm going to show you, I have purchased a 1926 Ford Model T. Original Henry Ford steel. It is in relatively good shape for being almost 100 years old. So the condition that this thing is in, compared to my 2000 Chevy Silverado, is night and day. Like, my Silverado is 22 years old, and I fixed the frame like 6 times. Granted, there's no frame with this. I literally just bought a body because I want a plain canvas to do whatever I want to. It has some rot on the bottom of the doors, which, I mean, they make replacement panels, or I can just make some steel and weld in some stuff. It's a little rusty, but still, it's solid. The base part of the actual body, the frame part where it mounts to it, is really, really solid. It had these terrible flames on it that I just had to wipe off. Somebody was already mocking up, like, the car to build something out of it. As you can tell, they were planning on chopping and channeling this to bring the axle up into the back end. The trunk lid, not the best. I have some ideas to save it and savor it and kind of cut it up and do rat things with it. But unless I can find one at a swap meet or something, I will. But otherwise, this thing's really solid. The doors and handles were completely seized shut. So I've had this for 2 weeks almost, and I had 8 days of heat to the hinges and penetrating oil to try to get them open. This one's moving. I actually ground the top one of this down. I was going to try to smash it down. It wouldn't move. Real steel, not this cheap stuff. I mean, that thing has real steel. That's got mostly aluminum and whatever, but I know. I'm sorry, Vicky. I love you. But this thing, I don't know. Like the doors, they open now. The floors are solid. These are almost 100. The frame here, the main part of the body is solid. It has some cancer around the bottom, which is fine, like this stuff. But this is all, cut and grind and weld in some stuff. We'll make that work. I'm going to have to cut most of that out to channel it and bring the axle up in anyways. There's no windows, no glass, which is fine. That's a little rough, but that's going to get cut out. This bottom piece here is a little rough, but same thing. Have to cut all that out anyways and weld in some stuff to make it work. I even got myself a windshield frame. Yes, I have the visor to the 51 there, which is going to be for sale, by the way. So if you're watching this and you do have that style vehicle, this hoodie or this hood's going to be for sale, or visor, I should say. Has a window frame. So that is the Model T that I scooped up. The main plan is to build your traditional rusty rat rod. I don't have anything except for a body. So it's literally an open canvas for me. I plan on buying a bunch of metal, getting a drop beam for the front. I got a straight line on some axles, or a axle for the back with some suspension, as well as a transmission. I do also, though, scooped up this 350 from a friend of mine. I picked this thing up from my friend Travis. It's a 85 350 block from a pickup truck. It's a 4-bolt main, 2-piece rear main seal. It was in his truck when he bought it. He's got it torn apart now, and he's going LS swap. But I was looking at the cylinders. It has a little bit, the little surface rust here, but I can still see scoring from a ball hone. I think somebody was recently in this, and even Trav thinks so as well because he took the heads off and whatnot. But the gaskets on the oil pan look newer. He took the heads off to see what it looked like. I got a line on some new heads. Actually, they're kind of old heads. We'll talk about that maybe in another episode, but Grace and I were going to rebuild this motor at some point. Such good condition, and it's a small block Chevy. So I'm 50-50 on whether I want to take the thing apart, maybe bore it 30 over, put some flat tops. And I was thinking Vortec heads. I got a friend that's got some World product Torker heads, or do I go the aluminum route and put some aluminum heads on it? I'm not too sure what we plan on doing with it. She wants to venture into kind of taking apart a motor and maybe, put one together for the most part. So we'll see. I might just pull a main cap up, check the bearing. If the bearing's good, I bought that Summit cam for it, that's hydraulic flat top. Even though I'm kind of skeptical about today's break-in procedures and oils for flat tops, like I said with the 327. Or I might just take the oil pan off, reseal it up good, throw a set of heads on it, leave the cam in there, the timing chain, leave everything the way it is, and literally just swap 350 into beauty. That was kind of my idea. I'm not sure if, I can't tell if it's the transmission that knocks a little bit or if I got a loose flex plate bolt, even though the torque converter bolts are really tight. I don't know if it's developing a motor noise. Maybe she's starting to get something, but I was just thinking toss the 350 in it, get it running good, and keep the 327. That way I can put the 327 in this. Also, on that stand over there is a 4.8 liter LS block out of a pickup truck. I thought about doing that because the Corvette's LS, and the LS is essentially everything that the small block Chevy wanted to be, but the technology wasn't there yet. And when you retrofit, roller camshafts and all that, you're basically building an LS, except the lifters are in the lifter valley versus underneath the cylinder heads. So I don't know. Leave me a comment below and think, and let me know what you think about what I should put for a motor in this thing. Let me know what you think I should do with it. She's definitely getting chopped. I don't know if it's going to be a full 4-inch or a 6-inch shop with a little window. But I'm thinking, build a frame, a Z frame, drop the body, maybe channel it 2-3 inches, at least the size of the frame. See where the floor sits, see where my head is. Yes, I'd like to drop, have a nice window and have it chopped and looked awesome. But at the same time, if I plan on driving this thing around, I don't want to drive like this because, I go to the chiropractor every week, once a week. I don't want to have to go 3 times a week because my neck's all messed up. But that's just my thought. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think I should do with this. And we'll see you again soon. I can't wait to start to build videos on this thing. See ya.